define activity duration, develop schedule, control schedule. It has been already discussed, and you can find the notes later. We will be sharing this slide on Google Drive. There will be notes below this you can read. Okay, next. First, we move on to work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure represents a logical decomposition of work to be performed and focuses on how the product, services, or result is naturally subdivided. It's an outline of what work is to be performed. And it's a useful tool for developing the project plan and links the project scope to the schedule and budget. And this provides also the framework for developing a tactical plan to structure the project work. Next. Under WBS is work packages. WBS decomposes or subdivides the project into smaller components and more manageable unit of work known as work packages. And it provides a logical basis for defining the project activity and assigning resources to those activities so that all the project work is identified, and makes it possible to develop a project plan, schedule, and budget, and later monitors the project's performance. Okay, as you can see, this is the diagram, figure 6.1, work packages. This is viewed in a hierarchical form, which is starting from up there till here. And every project is subdivided into phases, and each phases has one or more deliverables. And each phases need to have at least one deliverables. Next. Okay. This is about developing WBS. It's a very important component in our project, and a work package is developed for each of the phases, and the deliverables defined in the DSC, which was discussed by the previous group, but we will not be discussing we were just talking about it in a brief listing. And okay, this WBS might require several versions because it will be updated from time to time, and this will be usually developed by a project manager, but it is a good idea to have the people who are involved in the project to develop together with the project manager, because they will provide much details. Next. Okay, as you can see, this is the deliverable structure chart, DSC, and we don't look at it in the whole, just look at this part. So in here, we want to get the test result. In order to get the test result, we will have to do some things which have to be completed before, which is the test plan. And this test plan needs to have a review with the client. We will be stating that we are having a testing phase and what are the requirements we want to see first. And in the testing plan will be structure of things that need to be done. And if all the work is done, later we will have a test result, and that test result will be documented in a report or presentation, later presented to the client, and if the requirement matches with their client's requirement, they will accept and sign. If not, you have to fix the problems that they face. Next. Okay, this is under the test plan, things which need to be done. Okay? Summary on WBS. When you are developing a WBS, these are the points you should consider, which is should be deliverable oriented, should support the project's MOV or goal. The level of detail should support planning and count, where it shouldn't be little or too detailed. It can be underestimated or overestimated. Developing the WBS should involve the people who will be doing the work, I've stated before. And learning cycle and lesson learned can support the development of WBS. This is the experience from past project can be used in order to develop this current project's WBS. Next, I pass on to Shira.
Okay, we proceed with the differences between deliverable and milestone. As we know that deliverable is somehow a measurable or tangible outcome of the project, and it must be aligned with the goal of the project. And the example of the deliverable is somehow reports, plan, prototype, the final application system. The example in the real life is prototype of the user interface, while the milestone is to indicate the completion of the key project or question answer that will affect the project schedule in a major way, or status of that project. The example is stakeholder formal acceptance of the user interface. Okay, I will proceed with the advantages of the milestone. Where the first advantage is it can keep the project team focused, where it is much easier to concentrate on your attention on the smaller project, because it has short-term deliverable on a single but not a large deliverable schedule. And if the milestone is realistic, it can motivate the project team to view the project as a success. And the second advantage of the milestone is it can reduce the risk of the project, because it provides the opportunity for the project team to review the progress of the project, and it can the project team can add resources to committed to the successful completion of the certain project, where it can add the appropriate plan and steps that can be taken to the project to meet the milestone. And the last advantages is to provide a mechanism for the quality control, where the providing user with an interface does not guarantee that the project will acceptable to the customer. And the completion of the user interface deliverable should end only with the acceptance of the customer itself, and otherwise the project team will be forced to repeat or redo the project itself. And in short, we can say that the deliverable must not only be done but must be done right. Okay, I will pass to the Fatihah.
Thank you, Sister Ashra. Next, I'm going to present about project estimation. Okay, these three questions always arise when we talk about project estimation. First, what are you going to estimate? We want to estimate the cost, schedule, resources, and the complexity of the project. And then the second question, where do you start? Usually, we will start the estimation after the project deliverable and activity have been defined. Next, how do you estimate? We will estimate by using some estimation technique. And this particular section, we will explain about traditional approaches and software engineering approaches. Why we need to estimate? As we all know, when we are doing a task, we need a resource. So a cost for that particular resource must be allocated as a part of time it takes to complete a task. If we take a longer time, the cost will be increased and the budget will affect it as well. Okay. Next, the first traditional approaches is guesstimating. It is an estimation by guessing or just picking the number out of the air, and it is not the best way to derive the project schedule, budget, and etc. In some cases, many inexperienced project managers tend to guesstimate because they think it is quick and easy. But the problem is, guesstimating is only based on feelings rather than evidence. If you find yourself being pressured to guesstimate, you need to find supportive evidence or information to support to make a confident estimate. Okay, disadvantages. Guesstimating may take long hours and it will reduce quality. Sometimes it might not meet the client expectation. Next is Delphi technique. It involves multiple experts who arrive at consensus on same particular issue or subject. How this technique works? So first, several experts need to be recruited to estimate the same issue. They cannot discuss different issue in that discussion. So secondly, each expert will make an estimation and then they will compare the result. If the result are reasonably close, they can be averaged and used as an estimate. Otherwise, the estimates are given back to the expert and then they will make another estimation. And these rounds are anonymous and several rounds may take place until the consensus is reached. Okay. Sometimes this technique can be effective and provide reasonable assurance. It depends on the time, the participants, their communication and their motivation. But however, this technique might take longer time and it increase the cost. Now I'll pass to Sister Nazira.
Thank you for that, Wani. Okay, I will proceed with the third estimation, which is time boxing. Time boxing has nothing to do with Muhammad Ali, Cho Song Ho, or The Rock. Time boxing is a technique whereby a box of time is allocated for a specific activity or task. Okay, next. Okay, this allocation is based on requirement more than just a guesswork. Okay, for example, a project is needed to build a prototype within 2 weeks. After the end of the 2 weeks, the work on the prototype should be stopped regardless the prototype has been completely 100% or not. Okay. If time boxing were used effectively, it helped the project team effort to focus only the important and critical tasks. The schedule pressure to meet deadline, however, it may result in long hours and pressure to succeed. Next. Okay, top-down estimating. Top-down estimating involves estimating the schedule and cost of the entire project in terms of how long it should take and how much it would cost. This is a very common occurrence that often results from a mandate made by upper management. Top-down approach work well when the target objectives are reasonable, realistic, and achievable. And it could be the reaction to the business environment. For example, when a project need to be completed within 6 months, this is because the result of a competitor selection to win the business of customer. Okay. Once the target objective in terms of schedule and budget is identified, it is up to the project manager to allocate the percentage of various phases of life cycle and associated tasks and activities. Okay. Data from past project could be very useful and helpful in applying percentage and ensuring that estimates are reasonable. Next. The project parameter includes schedule, budget, staff, and other resources, functionality, performance requirement, features, and other aspects of the project's part. More specifically, top-down approach may force the project manager to examine the project risk more closely so that a specific budget or schedule target can be achieved. By understanding the project risk, trade-off, or sensitivity, objective, and so on, it can develop a mutual understanding between the project stakeholder. However, as outcome, this requires all the stakeholders to be willingly to communicate and make a trade-off. Next, the most real-world estimating is made up by using bottom-up estimating. Bottom-up estimating involves dividing the project into smaller modules and then directly estimating the time, effort in terms of person hour, person week, and person month for each module. Okay. In fact, one could argue that counting LOC could encourage to write inefficient code, especially when the LOC will use productivity metrics. Okay. Finally, it's much easier to count the line of code after a program is written than to estimate how many lines the code will be required to write a program. Okay, I'll pass to lines. Okay. In fact, one could argue that counting LOC could encourage to write inefficient code, especially when the LOC will use productivity metrics. Okay. Finally, it's much easier to count the line of code after a program is written than to estimate how many lines the code will be required to write a program. Okay, I'll pass to Sakina.
Okay, so far do you understand what's happening? Or it's too fast? You should have been before class. It could have helped. It's okay. But okay, at least get this one, okay? Which is function point analysis. Okay. This one, look at here, okay. I can state that, okay, for example, equal. All of you can see, I'm so sorry. I'm writing it on the side. Okay, function point analysis is actually the same function, but you are analyzing it at different points, which is A is here, and B is here. So this will be done throughout the project. So it is analyzing the same project, the same function at different points of the project. Okay, do you get a rough idea of what I'm going to talk about?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. I'll state it again. Okay. The inherent problems of LOC has a matrix for estimation and productivity. Needs a better software matrix. So they introduced FPA, and FPA in 1979 was introduced by Allen of IBM. Proposed the idea of function point, and the function point are synthetic metrics similar to ones used every day, such as kilo, hours, and etc. It's the same unit. And function point focuses on functionality and complexity of an application. They are, one good thing about function point analysis than the other is they are independent of the technology, where functionality and the technology are kept separate, so we can compare different applications that may or okay, it's okay, I'll state it again. Okay, the inherent problems of LOC has a matrix for estimation and productivity. Needs a better software matrix, so they introduced FPA. And FPA in 1979 was introduced by Allen of IBM. Proposed the idea of function point, and function point are synthetic metrics similar to ones used every day, such as kilo, hours, and etc. It's the same unit. And function point focuses on functionality and complexity of an application. They are, one good thing about function point analysis than the other is they are independent of the technology, where functionality and the technology are kept separate, so we can compare different applications that may or may not use different programming language and technology platforms. Okay, FP function point analysis is very reliable compared to all the other because counting FP is very straightforward, and the rules can be complex for the beginners. And anyone who's serious about FP analysis becomes certified. Okay, anyone is although there's several FP organizations, but two main ones is IFPUG and UFPUG standard, which is International Function Point User Group, and second is United Kingdom Function Point User Group. Okay, both of these are non-profitable organization which oversees the rules like C++ and they take care of those kind of things. Okay, counting FP needs a good understanding of users' requirement, and at the early stage it might not be that accurate because it is just based on the scope. But as it proceeds, analysis and design part, it might be more detailed and more reliable. Okay. Next. Okay, this is the application boundary for function point analysis. Okay, can you go back to the front again? Front. Okay, this is 5 data transaction types. This is 5 distinct which is used in the next one. Next one. Yes, this is the diagram. This is what is inside here. Okay, the next one. Okay, this value are gotten from the first diagram based on their count and their complexity. And after they get this value, next, you'll be computing the UAF, which is unadjusted analysis. You can, this thing, I'm so sorry, I don't remember. UAF, okay, short file, okay, we like short forms, okay. So the value here is the complexity which we have counted before. Okay, the next. Now based on that, we will be getting a total adjusted function point, and yeah, this thing is, you will see it based on this thing over here, and the total is 210. Okay, this 210 will transform into development estimate, where there's 2 approaches under this, which is you are using a productivity and converting. Next will be converting FPA into an equivalent number of line code. And for example, what I mean by this is this value here will be changed to 134,440 codes for machine learning, and for Visual Basic, it will be 6,090. Because this depends on the language you use to code. Yeah, basically next one. This is actually extension of function point analysis. You can read. They came about from Kepler-Jones, which allows the direct conversion from an application source code to equivalent function point. So this may be less accurate than function point analysis, even though this is an extension. Next. Next, I pass on to Shira.
Okay, I will proceed with COCOMO. As you can see, COCOMO is a short form of constructive cost model, and it is most widely used software estimation model in the world, and it is introduced in 1998 and developed by Barry Boehm in his book Software Engineering Economics, and it used to estimate the cost, effort, and the schedule of the project. And by using this estimating method, COCOMO will begin with you have to determine the type of project, the type of your project. The next. Okay. We have three type of project, where organic, embedded, and semi-detached. Organic is somewhat small or simple software project. It requires small team with a good application experience, work to set of less than a rigid requirement, and it requires little innovation. While embedded is a software project that must be developed within a set of type schedule, set of type hardware, software, and operational constraint. While semi-detached is somehow in the middle, which the team is mixed with experience level and must meet a less than a rigid requirement compared to the other two. Okay, this is the equation for the type of each type of the project. You can see it's different. Next, and I give example on the type of project semi-detached, where it has 10,600 line of code, and you use the equation and just sub the line of code into this, and then you get the effort is 42.21, and then the next you have to calculate the duration of the project, where you the effort calculate before you input in this, and then next, and you get 9.26 months, and the last step is you have to calculate the people required to complete the project, where the effort divided by the duration, where the effort is next 42.2 divided by the 9.26 months, where you require 4.55 number of people, but it is impossible to have the 0.55. Either you take the 4 people or the 5 people.
Okay. The last software engineering approach is heuristic. Heuristic are the rule of thumb that are applied to estimate software projects. It uses the basic premise whereby same activities will be repeated on most of the project. Heuristic include assigning a specific percentage of project schedule to specific activities, or using other metrics such as function points. For example, we estimate 30% for planning, another 20% for coding, 25% for component testing, and last 25% for system testing. Kepler-Jones, who are the one who write about the book about estimating software cost. He said that heuristic approach is easy but not always accurate. Next. Okay, next, Brooks' law is adding manpower to a late software project makes it later. We are not going to explain the Brooks' law and the next slides, because it is not in the learning outcome. So you can read by yourself. Okay, this is adding people. Okay, next. Okay, this is the effect when that can cause inaccurate estimates. Next. These are other factors to consider when we do an estimation. Next. Okay, this is important because we want to have a good estimation. So first we have to experience. We must learn from the lesson, and then the revision, monitor, focus on the deliverables, and then control. So I would like to call Nazura to conclude our presentation.
As for the conclusion, we would like to emphasize on the importance of time management as stated in one of the hadiths. narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, Allah said, the son of Adam hurts me by abusing time. For I am time, in my hand are all things, and I cause the revolution of night and day. By Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. That's all for now. Thank you.